One statement in what follows cannot be true in reality. The public library on Cedar Street is a small two-story building. Near the entrance is the front desk, and down a short hall is a return room. Inside that room is a metal book drop. When someone pushes a book through the outside slot, it slides down into a wooden box inside. The room has a self-closing door. Once it shuts, it seals completely. On Tuesday evening, a rare old book was discovered missing from a locked glass case on the second floor. The case had not been broken into. The only key hung on a hook behind the front desk. Only the head librarian could reach it. The book was last seen at 4:30 that afternoon when a scholar looked at it. At 4:45, the head librarian, Eleanor Cross, locked the case and put the key back on its hook. At 5 o'clock, the library closed. At 5:05, Eleanor locked the front door and left. The next morning, the case was found open and the book was gone. 3 people were in the library during the last hour. Here are their accounts. Eleanor Cross is the head librarian. She is in her 60s and very careful about routine. She said that after the scholar left at 4:45, she locked the case and hung up the key. She then sat at the front desk looking over records for 10 minutes. At 4:55, she went to the return room to get the box of books that had been dropped off during the day. She said the room was empty, the box was nearly full, and the little metal door on the inside of the book drop was closed. She carried the box to the front desk and put the books onto a cart. At 5 o'clock, she started closing up. She turned off the lights and checked the bathrooms. At 5:02, she let a student out the front door. At 5:05, she left and locked the front door behind her. She remembers hearing the door to the return room close behind her when she came out with the box. She also said the little metal door on the book drop can only be opened from the outside when a book is pushed through. From inside the room, it stays shut unless a book is coming down. Arthur Pence is a retired mail carrier who comes to the library almost every day. He said he arrived at 4:30 and looked at books on the first floor for about 20 minutes. At 4:50, he returned a book he had borrowed. He went to the outside slot on the side of the building and pushed his book into the book drop. He heard it slide down and land in the box inside. He then walked around to the front of the building to the main entrance, but the front door was locked. He thought the librarian had closed early and went home. He saw no one else. He walked to the bus stop and took the 5:10 bus. Sarah Voss is a graduate student. She said she was reading on the second floor. She arrived at 4:15 and sat at a table near the stairs. At 4:45, she heard the scholar leave, and then heard Eleanor's footsteps going down the stairs. She kept reading until about 4:55, then decided to leave. She walked downstairs, past the front desk, and saw Eleanor carrying a box of books from the direction of the return room. They did not speak. Sarah walked to the front door, but it was locked. She turned back to ask Eleanor for help, but Eleanor had gone back into the return room. Sarah waited by the front desk. A moment later, Eleanor came out of the return room with nothing in her hands, walked to the front door, unlocked it, and let Sarah out. Sarah checked her phone. It was 5:02. She thanked Eleanor and left toward the parking lot. She did not see anyone else. Now let us stop and look at what we have. 3 people, 3 stories. The library closed at 5 o'clock. Eleanor says she left at 5:05 after letting Sarah out at 5:02. Arthur says he put a book in the book drop at 4:50, heard it land, and found the front door locked. Sarah says she was let out at 5:02 and saw Eleanor come out of the return room empty-handed right before that. One of them is lying. Can you spot the lie? You have 5 seconds. The culprit is Arthur Pence. Here is why his story cannot be true. Arthur says he used the book drop at 4:50. That means his book slid into the wooden box inside the return room. 5 minutes later, At 4:55, Eleanor went into that room and carried the box to the front desk. So by 5 o'clock, everything inside that box was no longer in the return room, including Arthur's book. Now here's the problem. Arthur also says that after using the book drop, he walked to the front entrance and found the front door locked. But if he used the book drop at 4:50, the library was still open. Eleanor was inside. Sarah was upstairs. And the front door wasn't locked yet. Eleanor only locks the front door when she leaves at 5:05. So at 4:50, the door could not have been locked. That's the contradiction. If Arthur really came at 4:50, the door was open. If he came after 5:05, the door would be locked. But the book box would be gone. And if the box was gone, his book wouldn't land inside it. It would be found on the floor the next morning. But no book was found on the floor, which leaves only one conclusion. Arthur's timeline cannot exist. He describes a moment where the door is locked and the book box is still inside. But those two things never happened at the same time. And that makes his story impossible.